So, I have a fascinating, not just new idea, but ideas for new terrain generation. Now, I started thinking of this as Youngie, one of our players, brought up how I did not like Orgen, and I heard it from multiple people before, but I sort of disregarded it. But he brought up some good points, and as I started to think about it more outside of Youngie's post, I was like, you know what? I actually don't like the terrain gen as much either, because when you play it once, after you completely beat all the tiers, you don't really want to do it again for a while. And I want to make something that's a little more fun and not as dig down and keep going until you finally find the next tier, and it's a painful process, but it'll benefit you a little bit later as that builds up your work ethic, and then you're building really cool buildings. But I'm sure you can agree that after digging for a while and getting to tier 5 and 6 and saying that you're done with mining, you really don't go back to mining for a little while. So I'm going to present some concepts on a new type of ore generation, and I actually haven't told all these to Zexon either. And I'm going to start with showing the original and what we have for NFC right now. So I'm just going to be showing what iron generates like. I'm just going to kind of picture it here, and then this will be where I put the concepts, the new ones. So currently in the original Minecraft, the original iron generates at 1 to 8 blocks per unit that you find, and they are generated 20 times per chunk. So that's actually quite a bit, but you normally don't find all those in a chunk because of caves and stuff. And then in New Frontier Craft, I have it generating 1 to 2 stacks per unit, but that is generated every 8 chunks. So to give you an idea, the original looks kind of like this for where iron is being generated. Now, that is not completely accurate, but that's a representation. It's just a bunch of dots throughout a chunk. And each of these blocks represents a chunk, which is 16 by 16 blocks. Now, New Frontier Craft, I have it generating every 8 chunks, and this is 16 chunks. So I have 1 to 2 stacks generated. So it would be like a gigantic vein here and there. But of course that means if you have a cave in either one of these, we'll draw a similar cave, you're going to find multiple stacks through here, but you might only find one through here, or maybe even, say we have one, a small one here, you're not going to find anything. So that's how New Frontier Craft generates. It generates in gigantic amounts, but it's all in one area and one level, because I'm not even looking at this as a 3D example, this is a 2D example. So we have the 3D, third dimension to think about, as maybe that iron might be really deep down, that iron is really deep up, or really high up in the stone, and a cave could go through the center of those and you wouldn't find either of those. So finding ore can be kind of difficult if you're not lucky. So for a while I was thinking, and I remember back in beta 1.5, I found something called a realistic ore gen mod, and it looked kind of like this. And it would set up a point in the chunks where it would generate a lot in that area. And then, after that's concentrated, it would generate a lighter amount in everywhere else. So that's our first concept. It's not necessarily a vein where everything is connected. It would be all spread out in a certain area, and it would be kind of like this. It has aspects of both of them, as it's concentrated, but there's still a bunch of them throughout the area. Now this is probably going to make the game a lot more easier in upgrading in tiers, so I'm probably going to have the amount of generation less, because if I do that for all the metals, that means you're probably going to find tier 1 to tier 3 or 4 quite quickly. So I'll figure out what to do with that, but this is our first concept. So it generates a little bit everywhere, but in certain areas it generates a lot. So I was trying to look for that mod to see if I could get the code from it to figure out how that works, and I could not find it. And I ran into a different mod that generates ore in clouds. Now here's how that works. it will pick a certain area, like a circle, and let's say we're doing it by NFC. So since this is 16 and it generates 2 times because it generates every 8 chunks, we'll have 2 circles. And inside that circle, in the center, there is a ton of ore. And then it spreads out through the circle that it has generated. And it ends up looking like that. So, say you have a cave, and it hits some of the iron, but you're not at the core. So it's not like you find just a large vein. This would be kind of interesting because you'd start finding some iron, and then you're going to look around for where the core is at. The original concept I explained to you would also be kind of interesting because it would be like an iron mine. Because, say, it's all concentrated right here, and then you'd be seeing iron everywhere, so you'd make this mine that has mine shafts going everywhere trying to pick up all the iron in that certain region. It would be kind of like that for this too, but of course there's a main core in the center, and that would be a lot of iron, and you could still be like an iron mine, but there's nothing out here. So that's the big difference. It's not going to be generating everywhere, it'd be generating inside of that certain cloud. I think this is quite an interesting concept, and now I need to remember the other 2. So then concept 3 mixes both 1 and 2.
Remember, speak up.
Shut up. Concentrated clouds. So then, in a certain region, you'll find a bunch of iron all over the place, and then outside of that, you wouldn't be finding too much. So this would go on a much larger level where it's like chunk 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 chunk, and it would be like a large cloud here, a large cloud here, a large cloud here, because it's like multiple concentrated clouds, multiple different cores. Maybe this core isn't always a solid core. It might be, split up a little bit here and there, but there's way more concentration in the center. Now, Concept 4 is a lot like this, and I'm just going to throw it in with Concept 3 because it's just a tweak. And that is, as to multiple, it's one gigantic one where it's one large core and it's split up. And in this case, instead of it being multiple, it'd be kind of like this where it's just one large area or pocket of iron within a bunch of chunks. So, I'm going to post on the New Frontier Craft forums, and I'm going to put a link down below in the description, on a vote on this, and a couple other things I'm going to put in this post is our current plans for the channel and New Frontier Craft right now for the next couple of weeks, and another vote on New Frontier Craft and its logo, I guess I'd say. Currently, we have New Frontier Craft, the answer for your Minecraft nostalgia. Maybe I should name it something different, like New Frontier Craft, rebuilding old Minecraft together, or rebuilding old Minecraft with something new. What do you think? I'm going to have multiple votes about this, the logo, and there's something else yet that I'll explain in the forums because I can't remember it off the top of my head right now on the post that I'll make. So please go check out the forums, the post I made, and the forums itself if you haven't made an account already. It's starting to come back to life a little bit after making it. Nobody really used it, and people are posting interesting things. And also, the forums, if you just want to post old Minecraft stuff like Beta 1.4, some really cool house you made in that time, it's there for that too. There's a whole old Minecraft section outside of New Frontier Craft stuff. So, yeah, that's an update for you guys. I'm working on 1.3_01 right now. I'll explain the rest in the forums. I won't get into that. So, I'll see you in the next video.